Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you woke up with a strong, firm morning erection? Not a vague, half-there sensation. A real one. The kind you used to wake up with in your 40s without even thinking about it. If you have to think hard to remember, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to share is something I wish every man over 60 had heard 20 years ago, before the damage quietly set in. Before they sat across from me in my office, confused, embarrassed, and wondering why their body had seemingly given up on them without a single warning sign. I'm going to reveal the single worst poison hiding in your kitchen right now. Something you've probably already consumed today. Something the food industry calls healthy, something your grocery store promotes proudly, and something that, drop by drop, day after day, is systematically dismantling your testosterone, strangling your blood vessels, and silencing the biological signal that tells you your body is still alive and working. And before anyone clicks away thinking this is simply about sex, stop. Because morning erections are not about vanity. They are not about performance for performance's sake. They are your body's most honest, most consistent health report card. When they disappear, your cardiovascular system, your hormones, and your neurological health are sending you a warning. And most men never learn to read it until it's far too late. Stay with me until the very end of this video. Because the number one poison on today's list is going to shock you. Most of the men who sit in my clinic had absolutely no idea it was working against them every single morning. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. I am a urologist with over 20 years of experience working specifically with men over 60. Sexual health, hormonal decline, vascular performance. This is my world, every single day. And I want to be honest with you right from the start. I didn't make this video to sell you a supplement. I made it because after 2 decades of sitting with men who are frustrated, quietly ashamed, and completely in the dark about why their body has changed, I am done with the silence. Men are not told the truth about what everyday foods are doing to their sexual health. Not by their general practitioners who have 10 minutes per appointment. Not by the food industry that profits from their ignorance. And not by a culture that still treats men's sexual decline as inevitable rather than largely preventable. The men who come to see me are not weak. They are not broken. They are simply uninformed. And once I give them the right information, once we remove the hidden poisons from their daily routine, the changes can be remarkable. That's what today is about. Information, clarity, power. Now before I get into the list, if you are a man over 50 and you've noticed your morning erections becoming weaker, less frequent, or completely absent, type the word morning in the comments right now. You are not alone. And knowing you're here helps me keep creating content that speaks to what real men are actually going through. Here's what I need you to understand before we get into the poisons, because it changes everything about how seriously you take what comes next. Morning erections, what we clinically call nocturnal penile tumescence, are not random. They are not simply a hormonal accident that happens while you sleep. They are a deliberate, sophisticated biological process that your body runs every single night, like a system diagnostic on a computer, to test the health of your blood vessels, your nerve pathways, and your hormonal environment. While you are sleeping, your body is quietly running a self-check. It sends blood rushing through the smallest, most delicate arteries in your entire body, the ones inside the penis, to verify that everything is functioning, flexible, and responsive. When those arteries are healthy and clear, you wake up firm. When those arteries are damaged, stiff, inflamed, or partially blocked, you wake up flat. This is not a coincidence. This is biology doing exactly what it was designed to do. And here is the part that stops men cold when I explain it in my office. The arteries inside the penis are among the smallest in the human body, roughly 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter. They are the first arteries in your entire body to show damage. Before your heart arteries, before your brain arteries, before any of the larger vessels a cardiologist monitors. A man who has lost consistent morning erections has often been experiencing vascular damage for years before any other symptom appears. So when I tell you morning wood is a health signal, I mean it medically and literally. Your body whispers before it screams. 3 things must be working in balance every night for that signal to fire properly. First, nitric oxide. the molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax, open wide, and allow blood to flow with force and volume. Without sufficient nitric oxide, blood cannot fill erectile tissue properly. Second, testosterone, the hormone that drives desire, energy, and the neurological signals that initiate and sustain erections. After 60, testosterone naturally declines, but the poisons I'm about to reveal accelerate that decline dramatically and unnecessarily. Third, vascular elasticity. Your arteries need to be flexible, clear, and responsive. Stiff or narrowed arteries simply cannot deliver the blood volume needed for firm, reliable erections. Period. Everything on today's list attacks one or more of these three pillars. And after 60, your body becomes significantly more sensitive to every single one of these attacks. Your liver processes toxins more slowly. Your testosterone is already under pressure from natural aging. Your vascular system has less reserve capacity. What bounced off you at 35 now sticks and accumulates. That is not a reason to despair. It is a reason to pay very close attention to what comes next. Let's begin with poison number 5, and I promise you, by the time we reach number 1, you will understand exactly why your body has been struggling and precisely what has been working against you every single day. Poison number 5 lives in virtually every kitchen in the world, and is promoted relentlessly as a heart-healthy choice. I'm talking about refined industrial vegetable oils, canola oil, soybean oil, refined sunflower oil, corn oil, the oils that come in large plastic bottles with green labels and words like light and cholesterol-free printed across the front. Here is the truth those labels are hiding from you. When these oils are processed at the extreme heat used in industrial manufacturing, they produce oxidized lipids, essentially rancid fats at a molecular level. You cannot smell them. You cannot taste them. But once inside your body, they attack the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels. And those tiny penile arteries I described, the narrowest, most vulnerable ones in your body, they are the first casualty. Think of it like a smooth water pipe slowly accumulating a rough, sticky residue along its inner walls. The opening narrows. The flow weakens. The pressure drops. That is what oxidized vegetable oils do to the arteries responsible for your erections. Slowly, silently, and without a single moment of pain to warn you. Beyond vascular damage, these oils promote systemic inflammation that suppresses testosterone production at the cellular level and destroy the critical omega-3 balance your body depends on for healthy hormonal function. One of my patients, a retired engineer in his late 60s, had been cooking with vegetable oil his entire adult life. He came to me convinced his body was simply too old. When we replaced the inflammatory oils with cold-pressed olive oil and avocado oil, his vascular markers improved significantly within 2 months. He described it as something waking back up inside him. The fix is straightforward. Extra virgin olive oil for low heat and dressings. Avocado oil for higher heat cooking. Real butter from quality sources. Fats your body recognizes and can use to support vascular health rather than silently dismantle it. Poison number 4 is one that makes men defensive, and I completely understand why. Soy has been marketed as a clean plant-based protein alternative for decades. Soy milk, protein bars, edamame, tofu, soy-based sauces. If you've been trying to eat healthier, there's a strong chance soy has quietly become a daily fixture in your routine. And if you are a man over 60 already experiencing testosterone decline, this is a serious and underappreciated problem. Soy contains compounds called phytoestrogens, specifically isoflavones, that are structurally similar enough to estrogen that your body's hormone receptors recognize and respond to them as though they were the real thing. Now imagine what happens when you flood a system already struggling to maintain healthy testosterone levels with daily doses of compounds that behave like estrogen in your body. Testosterone production slows. The ratio between testosterone and estrogen shifts in the wrong direction. The clinical consequences include reduced libido, softer and less frequent erections, increased belly fat, which itself produces more estrogen, creating a vicious hormonal cycle, and an emotional flatness that many men attribute simply to age when in reality it has a dietary driver that can be addressed. I had a patient at 64, active, non-smoker, good blood work otherwise, who had switched to plant-based protein heavy in soy about 18 months before visiting my clinic. His testosterone was in the lower range for his age. We adjusted his protein sources away from processed soy. Within 3 months his levels had improved meaningfully, and he reported morning firmness and energy he hadn't experienced in over a year. Read your labels aggressively. Soy hides in protein bars, plant milks, packaged sauces, and salad dressings under names like textured vegetable protein, soy lecithin, and hydrolyzed plant protein. If testosterone matters to you, and it absolutely should, minimizing processed soy is non-negotiable. Now we move to poison number 3, and this one particularly stings because it hides inside foods men tend to think of as solid, protein-rich choices. Deli meats, bacon, packaged sausages, hot dogs, cured sandwich meats. The problem is not the meat itself. The problem is what has been done to it. Commercial processed meats are preserved with synthetic nitrates and nitrites, chemical additives that extend shelf life and maintain the appealing color that makes packaged meats look fresh long after they naturally would not be. And those synthetic nitrates, once inside your body, generate compounds that directly damage the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels. The same cells responsible for producing nitric oxide, the molecule entirely responsible for opening your blood vessels wide enough for a firm erection. Every morning breakfast with processed bacon. Every lunch built around deli meat. You are consistently dismantling the factory that produces your body's natural erection fuel. I want to be precise here because it matters. Natural nitrates found in vegetables like spinach, rocket, and beetroot are processed by your body completely differently, and are actually converted into beneficial nitric oxide. It is specifically the synthetic nitrates in commercially preserved meats that cause this damage. Same word, completely opposite biological effect. The solution is not to abandon protein. Choose whole cuts, fresh chicken, beef, fish, eggs, where nothing has been chemically added to extend a shelf life. Your endothelium will begin to thank you within weeks. We're now at poison number 2, and I need to say something before I explain it. I know this is the one you were hoping wouldn't make the list. I know because every single week in my clinic I have this exact conversation. Men defend this one more passionately than almost anything else in their diet. But I would not be respecting you if I softened what 20 years of clinical observation and a consistent body of research have shown me clearly. Regular alcohol consumption, particularly beer, is one of the most effective ways a man over 60 can simultaneously destroy his testosterone and shut down his vascular health. 2 separate mechanisms, both devastating. First, testosterone. Your liver is responsible for metabolizing and clearing excess estrogen from your bloodstream. When you drink alcohol regularly, your liver prioritizes alcohol metabolism above everything else. Estrogen clearance slows. Estrogen accumulates. And as estrogen rises, testosterone is suppressed. Beer compounds this problem specifically because hops, the plant that gives beer its distinctive bitter flavor, contain phytoestrogens. You are drinking estrogen-mimicking compounds while simultaneously impairing your liver's ability to clear the estrogen already circulating in your system. Second, vascular damage. Chronic alcohol consumption promotes inflammation throughout the cardiovascular system, damages the endothelium, and directly reduces nitric oxide availability. All 3 pillars, nitric oxide, testosterone, vascular elasticity, impaired simultaneously by one daily habit. I've had patients insist their 2 beers each evening is harmless, and I understand why it feels that way. It is relaxing, social, and deeply habitual. But for a man over 60 whose testosterone is already under natural pressure, whose vascular reserve is already reduced, whose liver is already slower, there is no safe frequency when that consumption is daily. I am not telling you to never enjoy a drink again. I am telling you to understand the costs clearly and make an honest, informed decision. Comment below and tell me honestly, was this the one you were hoping I wouldn't get to? Because I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know. Now before I reveal number 1, I want to pause here for a moment. We've talked about industrial vegetable oils strangling your arterial walls. We've talked about soy flooding your system with estrogen signals. We've talked about synthetic nitrates dismantling your nitric oxide production. We've talked about alcohol suppressing testosterone and inflaming your vascular system from multiple directions. Each of those poisons is serious on its own. But number one on today's list does all of those things at the same time. It attacks every single pillar your morning erections depend on. It manipulates your brain chemistry, hijacks your hormonal environment, inflames your blood vessels, and degrades your testosterone, all while being sold to you in packaging covered in words like natural, wholesome, and part of a balanced diet. And the most painful part? You almost certainly had some this morning. If you've stayed with me this far, share this video right now with one man over 50 who needs to hear what comes next. Because this is the conversation I wish I could have with every man before the damage becomes difficult to reverse. The number one poison is not exotic. It does not have a name you cannot pronounce. It is the white powder in your kitchen, the bread in your toaster, the juice in your glass, the biscuit with your morning tea, the pasta on your dinner plate, sugar, and the refined carbohydrates your body converts into sugar within minutes of eating them, is without question the single most destructive force acting on the sexual health of men over 60 today. I call it the silent castrator because that is precisely what it does. Quietly, incrementally, without pain or warning, until one morning you wake up flat, and you cannot remember the last time it was any different. Let me take you through exactly how it wages this war, because I want you to understand not just that it is damaging you, but specifically how, so that this information stays with you long after this video ends. Every time you eat sugar or refined carbohydrates, white bread, white rice, pasta, pastries, sweetened cereal, fruit juice, biscuits, flavored yogurt, cakes, your blood glucose spikes sharply. Your pancreas responds by flooding your bloodstream with insulin to bring that glucose under control. Here is what most men have never been told. Insulin and testosterone are in direct biochemical competition. When insulin surges, testosterone falls. Studies have shown that a single high-sugar meal can reduce circulating testosterone by up to 25% for several hours afterward. Now multiply that response by 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Over time, your cells stop responding to insulin properly. You develop insulin resistance. Blood sugar stays chronically elevated, and testosterone stays chronically suppressed. This is how a man who considers himself a reasonable eater ends up with the hormonal profile of someone a decade older than his actual age. Then there is a process called glycation that most people have never heard of, and it may be the most important thing I explain to you today. When excess sugar circulates in your bloodstream, it binds to proteins throughout your body, including the proteins that make up your blood vessel walls, making those vessels stiff, rigid, and inelastic. The resulting compounds are called advanced glycation end products. And those tiny penile arteries, the first in your body to show damage, are specifically vulnerable to this process. Glycation makes them rigid when they need to be flexible. It narrows them when they need to expand. It reduces blood flow at the precise moment your body needs a surge of circulation to produce and maintain an erection. This is a measurable, documented, biological process, and sugar is its primary driver. Simultaneously, chronic sugar consumption triggers systemic inflammation that directly attacks the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels, the same cells that produce nitric oxide. Inflamed endothelium produces less nitric oxide. Less nitric oxide means reduced vasodilation. Reduced vasodilation means blood cannot fill erectile tissue with the volume and pressure needed for firmness. A direct, measurable chain of destruction. And sugar is pulling the first link every morning when you reach for the toast, the juice, the sweetened cereal you've been told is a healthy start to the day. Beyond the hormonal and vascular damage, sugar also hijacks the dopamine reward pathways in your brain. The same pathways involved in desire, arousal, and intimate motivation. With repeated daily exposure, your brain downregulates its sensitivity to these reward signals. You need more sugar to feel the same satisfaction. And simultaneously, the natural arousal signals that should excite and motivate you become harder to feel and respond to. Several of my patients have described this without realizing what they were describing. A kind of emotional and physical flatness. Less excitement. Less drive. Less of that anticipatory energy that used to feel completely natural. That is not aging. That is neurological blunting from chronic sugar overconsumption. And finally, the gut. Your microbiome, the ecosystem of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays a direct role in testosterone production and hormonal balance. Sugar feeds harmful bacteria, destroys beneficial bacterial populations, and creates a gut environment that impairs nutrient absorption, drives systemic inflammation, and disrupts the hormonal communication between your gut and your endocrine system. A damaged gut microbiome in a man over 60 is a broken communication line between digestive health and hormonal health. Sugar breaks it consistently, every single day. Sugar also does not always call itself sugar. It hides under more than 60 different names on food labels. High fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltose, sucrose, fruit concentrate, cane juice, maltodextrin, agave syrup, which is actually higher in fructose than table sugar and specifically taxing on the liver. It hides in savory sauces, salad dressings, bread, flavored yogurt, granola, and breakfast cereals that carry the words whole grain on the front while delivering 20 grams of sugar per serving. And here is what breaks my heart most consistently in my practice. Men who have given up the obvious sugars, stopped the soft drinks, cut the desserts, done everything they think is right, but are still consuming enormous quantities of refined carbohydrates. White bread, white pasta, white rice, crackers. These foods have virtually no fiber to slow their absorption. They convert to glucose in your bloodstream nearly as fast as eating pure sugar directly. The hormonal and vascular damage is almost identical, and most men have no idea. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call David, 66 years old when he first came to see me, fit by most appearances, not overweight, a non-smoker, walked regularly, didn't drink heavily, but his morning erections had essentially vanished over the prior 2 years. His testosterone was low for his age. His energy was poor. His mood was persistently flat. He was beginning to accept that this was simply the end of that chapter of his life. When I reviewed his diet, the pattern was immediately clear. Breakfast was toast with jam and a glass of orange juice. Lunch usually involved bread. Dinner was pasta or white rice. His snacks were what he considered healthy: rice cakes, cereal bars, flavored yogurt. He was consuming a diet dominated by refined carbohydrates and hidden sugars. Every meal triggered an insulin surge and a testosterone dip. His vascular system was chronically inflamed. His nitric oxide production was measurably impaired. We restructured everything around whole foods, quality proteins, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates from vegetables and legumes. We removed the refined flour, the packaged foods, the fruit juice, the hidden sugars entirely. Within 3 weeks he noticed his energy returning. Within 6 weeks his morning erections had resumed, not perfectly but consistently and reliably. By 3 months he described feeling, in his own words, like himself again for the first time in years. His testosterone had not reached the levels of a 30-year-old. That was never the goal. But the unnecessary, diet-driven suppression of his body's natural capacity had been lifted, and his body responded exactly as it was designed to. That is not a miracle. That is biology working the way it was always meant to work. And I need you to hear this clearly now, because I don't want you to leave this video feeling only the weight of what's been working against you. I want you to feel what is genuinely possible. The human body, specifically the male vascular and hormonal system, has a remarkable capacity for recovery when you remove what is attacking it. The endothelium can regenerate. Nitric oxide production can improve meaningfully. Testosterone, while it will not reach the levels of youth, can recover significantly from the poison-driven suppression I've described today. The arteries feeding erectile tissue, given the right environment, can become more flexible and responsive than they've been in years. I have watched this happen in my clinic for over 2 decades. And the foods that support this recovery are not complicated or expensive. Pomegranate, rich in compounds that increase nitric oxide production and reduce oxidative damage to blood vessels. Watermelon, containing L-citrulline which converts to L-arginine, and directly supports vascular relaxation and blood flow. Dark leafy greens, spinach, rocket, beetroot, providing natural nitrates your body converts into nitric oxide. Zinc-rich whole foods that directly support testosterone synthesis. Healthy fats from olive oil, avocado, and nuts that your body uses to build steroid hormones including testosterone itself. Removing the 5 poisons I've described today, even before adding a single specific food, can create meaningful, noticeable change in how your body performs, how you feel when you wake up, and the quality of your vitality throughout the day. I will be doing a dedicated video very soon on the exact foods and daily habits my patients have used to restore their morning erections naturally. Make sure you are subscribed and have the notification bell turned on, because that information is just as important as everything we've covered today. Now I want to speak to you directly for a moment, not as a physician. As someone who has sat with thousands of men over 20 years and heard the same quiet story told in different words, over and over again. Nobody talks to men about this. You are expected to accept it, quietly, without complaint. A weakening erection, a fading libido, a body that no longer responds the way it used to. These are treated as inevitable, as topics to be avoided rather than addressed honestly, and without shame. That silence is not protecting you. It is costing you years of vitality, confidence, physical health, and the deep connection that an active, intimate life supports. Morning erections are not a trivial matter. They are a signal that your cardiovascular system is working, that your hormones are functioning, that your neurological pathways are intact. When they fade, your body is not telling you that you are old. It is telling you that something in your daily environment is interfering with a biological process that was designed to continue well into your 70s and beyond, with the right support. You deserve to know this. You deserve to have someone speak to you plainly, without judgment, about what is actually happening inside your body and what you can genuinely do about it. That is why this channel exists. If this video gave you something valuable today, if something clicked, if you recognized yourself in what I described or in the story of men I've treated, then please share it with one man who needs to hear it. Your brother, your friend, your partner, someone you know who is quietly struggling and has never had someone speak honestly to them about why. That single share could genuinely change the direction of someone's health. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these 5 poisons surprised you the most? Which one is currently hardest to imagine removing from your daily routine? Be completely honest. I read every single comment, and your answers directly shape the content I create next. If this video opened your eyes, hit the like button. It helps this information reach the men who need it most. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors and turn on the bell notification, because my next video covers the 4 specific foods my patients have used to begin restoring their morning erections naturally. And you do not want to miss that one. I am Dr. Mei Anderson, and after 20 years of sitting with men who were never given this information clearly enough, I can tell you with complete conviction, your body still knows how to function powerfully. It just needs you to stop poisoning the process. Take care of your health. I will see you in the next video.